So I go for my first audition. You had to read, and you go on camera, and then they review it. They made me wait 7 days. They called me up. They said, "Can you come back and audition for Mr. De Niro?" So I said, "Of course." So I go back. My appointment was 1:30 in the afternoon. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I didn't get upstairs to see him yet. I'm like disgusted because I had to get back to Jersey. I had to go to work, and I'm jammed up here, man. I'm going to be stuck in traffic. I finally get up to his office. He introduced himself to me. He goes, "Hello, I'm Robert De Niro." I say, "How you doing? I'm Alfred Sauchelli. Nice to meet you." He says, "Let me ask you something." He says, "Can you improvise?" Right in the middle of his office. First words we have with each other. I said, "Let me ask you something. So how you think I've been getting through my whole adult life?"
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Adeptus On-Air. I am again your host, Mike Hoffman, and I am very excited today to be joined by Alfred Sauchelli. Alfred, how are you today?
Very good, Mike. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Appreciate you coming on. When I heard you were coming on, I did my Google search and so forth, and immediately recognized that face of yours. So really excited to talk about some of your experiences. I'm not saying I like the face. I'm just saying I recognize the face.
Okay. Well, face your mother could love, right?
That's right. I get that all the time. Yeah. So Alfred's been in just a slew of movies over the years, from Bronx Tale to Analyze This, Analyze That, Carlito's Way, Sweet and Lowdown, Empire State, Find Me Guilty, many of which contained Robert De Niro, which we'll talk about. And then he's been on a whole slew of TV shows, some of which are my favorite. So really excited to kind of, talk about those. So let's just go back to the beginning before you even got into the movies. Was acting always just a passion of yours, or something that you really wanted to focus on?
Truth be told, it was never even a thought. It was never even thought about it. And real simple, how I got involved was I was out one night with a friend of mine, and his cousin happened to be there, and his cousin said to my buddy, Bobby's making a movie about the Bronx. I had no, and it was the first night I met my friend's cousin, and so I'm just listening, and Bobby, and my friends go, "Bobby who?" He's going, Bobby, Bobby Irish, Bobby De Niro, making a movie about the Bronx. What are you talking about? And so my friend said to his cousin, "Really, man, make us an appointment for like jokingly." And that's basically the short story of how I got involved. So no, I've been driving a truck my whole life, and dishwasher before that, and never even thought about acting. Now, I'm not saying I wasn't acting my whole life, but I never thought about being an actor.
We act every day of our lives, yeah. Let me tell you something. It's funny because I've had a bunch of actors and actresses on here, and the biggest thing you hear is it's a struggle. It's a struggle to get noticed. It's a struggle to get the big break. And your break, literally, in the most fantastic way, came to you. You didn't even have to go find it. It kind of just showed up one night as you're out to dinner.
Without a doubt. 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%.
So let's talk about it. So you have that audition. Yeah. So let's talk about it. So you had an audition, and I'm guessing from what you just said, so your first movie was A Bronx Tale?
First movie was A Bronx Tale. That's correct. Long time ago.
Wow.
32 years ago.
Amazing. So do you remember the first time that you actually met Robert De Niro?
Oh, absolutely. So, so I go for my first audition. You had to read, and you go on camera, and then they review it. They made me wait 7 days. They called me up. They said, "Can you come back and audition for Mr. De Niro?" So I said, "Of course." So I go back, and that particular day, my appointment was 1:30 in the afternoon. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I didn't get upstairs to see him yet in his office over there in Tribeca. And long story short, I'm like disgusted because I had to get back to Jersey. I had to go to work, and I'm jammed up here, man. I'm going to be stuck in traffic. Like my head's in another place. Long story short, I finally get up to his office, and he's not in there. Chaz Palminteri's there, who I did not know, and Ellen Chenoweth, huge casting director, but I didn't know it at that time. Hello, and De Niro was in his bathroom. Rather, comes out. He introduced himself to me. He goes, "Hello, I'm Robert De Niro." I say, "How you doing? I'm Alfred Sauchelli. Nice to meet you." He says, "Let me ask you something." He says, "Can you improvise?" Right in the middle of his office. First words we have with each other. I said, "Let me ask you something. So how you think I've been getting through my whole adult life with?" And that was my first words with him. And that's what happened. And then we did the audition, and And then they walked me to the door, and he says, thanks for coming. I said, no, don't thank me. I says, thank you. So what do you mean? I said, I'm probably never going to see you again in my life. But if I ever have kids, boy, did I have kids. But if I ever have kids, I could tell them that I worked with Robert De Niro and yada, yada. But that was my first, that's the short story experience with him. Yeah.
That's amazing. And it was such a, you actually had that intimate moment with him. It wasn't like you met him in a room with 40 other people trying out. You had like your first impression was basically a one-on-one.
1,000,000%. Right. Just like that.
Fantastic.
And it was all improvised. The whole scene was improvised. He said, okay. And he just walked. He said, Chaz is going to call you Bobby. That's the name we're going to use. So that's why I played in the movie. I said, okay. And I'm in the middle of his office, and he's got a bar up there, and Chaz was by the bar, and Alan was off in the corner with the camera. And okay. And then we got into the whole improvisation, and that was that pretty much. Huh.
So then you find out a few days after that you get the role.
They made me wait.
Oh, did they?
Like, for my 5 days. Well, actually, it was 7 days. 5 days was the first one. 5 working days. You wait for the phone to ring or for the answering machine, because them days I didn't have no beeper and cell phone and all that kind of stuff.
Of course.
And then on the second one, it was 5 days. The weekend, Monday, Tuesday, I was at my mother's house, let her rest, in Bradley Beach, New Jersey. I was going to a payphone down the street in Bradley Beach, New Jersey, and I kept calling my machine. No message. Yeah. So that particular day, like after 1:30, I was tired of putting change in the machine. This is gospel truth. And I said, the heck with it.
Yeah.
So I went home, and I was going to work. So I stopped in my house. It was in Union. I lived in Union, New Jersey at the time. And I see the thing blinking. One message. Thing blinking. And I hit the message. And now this is so-and-so. Maybe he's from, Tribeca, Robert De Niro. Can you give us a call? I started to panic. Like I started to, and that's, but they made you wait 5 days. The weekend is 7, then 2 more days. You know what I mean? But that's that business. Now I'm used to it. You do an audition, you just walk away, and if they call, they call. They don't. No big deal. And but that's
you got to make it sweat a little bit,
But the sweat no more, because now you got so many things on your mind. I got so many other things I got to worry about. You know what I mean? If I get it, fine. If I don't, and I'm not making light of anybody's profession, what they choose, just as how it goes for me. I got a bird off to the left here, parrot. I got him 35 years. Now he's not talking right now, but he used to say, "Anybody call? Anybody call?" Like he knew I went on an audition, and I would ask, "Did anybody call?" Josh, I'm looking at Josh. He's seen I know him a long time. This kid. That's the truth. The bird was anybody. I said, "Bird, shut up! If I let you fly away." But anyway,
that's very funny. Well, it's funny you mentioned Union. I spent a lot of time there. My mom spent like 30 years of her career as an elementary school teacher in Union.
Oh, no kidding.
So at Connecticut Farm School, which is right off the Parkway, I think at like 139A.
Right by the old Four Seasons bowling alley. My grandmother lived there. When they left Newark, they went to Union. So
yeah, sure. Right up Stuyvesant Avenue. Yeah. So at that point in time, you got this gig. Now, did you think at that point, okay, I know I still got my, I'm still a truck driver and so forth, but did you think of it there as this is like a one-time really cool opportunity, or when did your mindset change? Like this could be another career for me?
Well, truth be told, I never took it as that it would be a career, because, it's very difficult business, So anything that came with it was a blessing, and at that time, they did the analyze this, analyze that. Right after that, Carlito's Way. So we were running at that particular time. We had the look. They were making those kind of movies at that time, but I knew to do it as a true profession, I would never have left my driving a truck. I had too many kids to feed, and I kind of knew that if it comes, it comes. And even to this day, as I'm sitting here in front of you today, if it comes, it comes. It doesn't, it doesn't. And that's just how I approached it. Some people, it was their thing. They walked away from jobs. They walked away from relationships. They walked away from certain things because they wanted to make it as an actor. God bless you. Look at your math. A lot of them don't make it as an actor. Very, very, very difficult business. I'm on a show right now called Gravesend. So we're hanging in there. We're doing the best we can.
And you're having a good time. You like it?
Yeah, when I'm in front, of course I like it, especially when the paycheck comes. Absolutely.
So it seems to me like early on, like, and I know you kind of put that in your bio, that you were kind of one of De Niro's boys for a while. And so basically he kind of had his group that he liked, he felt comfortable with, and that was kind of who he kind of moved from movie to movie.
And at that time, yeah. But if you watch all the old time movies, from the 30s to 40s, they all had their crew. John Wayne had his guys.
Yeah.
Edgar G. Robertson had his guys. It's just at that time, that's what was happening.
Yeah. And to me, there's one modern day person to me who still embodies that. And that's Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler to me puts the same friends, and he's the same kind of thing. He has a loyalty to these people, and what movie he does, they're going to be in there in some capacity.
That Rob Schneider always pops up somewhere, the Rob Schneider, right?
That's right. That's right. What's funny, I was watching a roast on Comedy Central, and David Spade was on the panel, and I think it was Pete Davidson, the joke on him was, thanks for finding time out of your busy schedule waiting for Sandler to make another movie to be here tonight.
Well, there you go. It says it all.
Yeah. So listen, hey, if you have someone who's going to put you in movies, why not? Take that as long as you can.
And that's an honorable kind of guy that does those kind of things, because he apparently he must have started with them. He came up with them. He took it to the next level, and so did those other guys too. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't forget his people, and there's something to be said for that.
100%. I agree with you.
And you got to remember too, people. I'm very friendly with Chaz Palminteri, and people through the years would say, "Why don't you call Chaz? Why don't you put him in a movie? Why don't you go?" I said, first of all, the name of this business is show business. It's not show. Let me put my friend in a position or in a movie or in a television show that maybe he can't handle, because then it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's called show business. And if you're right for something, you're right. Can they find you something? Absolutely. If they can. And that's what Sandler does. I don't watch a lot of his movies because I just don't watch a lot of movies. I watch A&E. I like the History Channel. That's about it. And Cartoon Network, of course. But that's what happens with that.
Yeah. And then, so now, obviously there's the movie aspect of it, but you've obviously been on a slew of TV shows, parts here, parts there, and so forth, which are a lot of fun. At some point, obviously, was that just something, those opportunities came to you, or did you make a concerted effort? Hey, I'm open to those kind of things. I guess I imagine you have an agent or something who's doing these things for you.
Correct. I have an agent. I have a manager. It's one of the. I have a manager right now, and if he sees something that works for me, he submits me, and that's what we do. Sure. So
I've always found it interesting. So when you're going on a TV set of like a well-established show. And I'll use two examples. I know Blue Bloods. I know you had a small part on Blue Bloods early on, and obviously Blue Bloods went on to have a huge run. And obviously you were, I think, on one of the earlier years. So when you're getting a part like that, you're going in for kind of one day, or is it a few days you're going in to rehearse and film, or is it a couple days?
No, usually you go for the one day. Well, here's what happens when you get that part. You go in on another day for your wardrobe. They check check your wardrobe and your hair. Then you come back for the day to shoot. They'll do a rehearsal right before your scene, because it's usually the parts I get, one scene, maybe two scenes, and that's it for the day.
Yeah.
Then I would be done.
And obviously, it's different than a movie where it could be a couple of weeks. It could be sporadic days.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And so
because the TV shows they're on a schedule. They shoot an episode, say 8 days, 8 working days. That's what that episode is allotted for. Where a movie, they give you 55 days if it's a big movie, 23 days. Could they go over? Absolutely. But the TV ones, they're on a schedule because they got to get them episodes done. Yeah.
Yeah. So besides De Niro, and obviously you said work with Chaz, who are some of the what I'll call the biggest or some of the bigger stars that you've had scene time with?
Wow, Billy Crystal.
Okay.
Billy Crystal was great. Analyze this, analyze that. Dom DeLuise. I did a film with Dom DeLuise. It was an independent film. Some people aren't going to know who he is. But if you knew who he was, that was one funny guy. He was probably one of the funniest guys I ever worked with. Oh, my God. Yeah. I did that film up in Vermont like about 28 years ago. And it was an independent. It was with Deborah Gibson. And Just thinking about the antics that went on, it was pretty good. I worked with Leo Rossi. Joe Pesci happened to be at the Bronx Tale. Al Pacino, I worked with him in Carlito's Way. When I say worked with him, I was in the scene. Hello, how are you? I didn't hang out, nothing like that.
Yeah. But I got to believe, though, even if you're not interacting with them directly, just being there with them, these legends, Pacino and so forth, as they're doing a scene, whether you're in the background or whether you're interacting with them, that's just got to be a really, really cool experience.
It's amazing, especially if you're in that business, which I am, right?
Yeah.
You watch them. You watch how they handle themselves. You watch how they go into character. The best I've ever seen do that was De Niro. Here's the guy, when they call cut, he would just sit there, be a regular guy. When they say action, how he transforms himself into the character, especially a gangster type of character. You know what I mean? It's amazing.
Yeah.
And if you watch and you learn, you could put that in your tool bag that you could use at a later date for when you have to go reach for something, Yeah.
What I'm so impressed with him is, if you think about it, especially probably more so in the last 50 or 20 years, he's kind of evolved, where at the beginning it seemed like, and again, I don't know his bio as probably well as I should, he was a lot of the gangster movies, but he's evolved into comedies, and he's shown his comedic chops as well as his, gangster. I mean, like the Meet the Parents and so forth. He was funny. He still had that tough guy persona, but he was comedic.
Correct. No. I wish they would let me do that. I could be a comedian, but they won't let me do it.
Yeah.
Or the leading guy, they won't let me do that either.
I can totally see you though in a comedic role. I get the big smile on your face, So what do you have lined up now? Anything that you know of in the pike for the future?
Yeah, right now I'm working on a show called Gravesend. So Gravesend, a friend of mine who was in the Bronx Tale, a gentleman by the name of Willie DeMayo. He's been in the business a long time, like myself. He directs, he writes, he produces, he gets things done. He's done a lot of independent projects. This will be the third season. It's on Amazon Prime. Gravesend, for those who don't know, it's a section of Brooklyn. Gravesend section of Brooklyn. It's a gangster type of situation in the 80s, what was going on in that neighborhood at that time. And I did a little something in season 2. Like with two other guys, we were in prison. Like we're supposedly there's such a thing as called the mafia, like a mob crew, and we're out of prison in season 3, and that's where we're at now. We filmed in September and October. They took a break for the holidays, and they just started filming again. And season 3 should be completed and be out maybe by June or July. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Have you noticed a shift in the industry now with so many of these streaming platforms, both from a movie perspective where they're doing movies as opposed to the theaters, as well as TV shows?
There's so many networks, they don't want to pay. There was a big strike for 4 months. I'm not going to get into all that. But, these big companies, they want to use a background person with this AI. They want to take a background guy or woman, and that background actor's image, pay them once and use it 100 times. So, I don't really know that world. I'm a flip phone guy, bro. My flip phone's over there. I don't know too much about all that kind of stuff, but just.
Yeah, no, because it's funny just how the industry's changed. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I've gone to a movie theater, but I've watched a lot of movies because, now with it's not even a matter of the movies shifting to be on TV. A lot of the movies are now coming out directly onto a Netflix or an Amazon Prime or a Hulu. So
it's amazing.
Back when I was younger, Netflix was you'd call, you get a movie that you wanted to watch, they'd mail you something in the mail, you'd watch it and you mail it back. But it was nothing original. It was stuff that you wanted to watch. Now they're coming out with TV shows, their own movies. I think Sandler just signed a deal with them to make a bunch of original content. So to me, as a fan, not someone in the business, I can't tell you the last time I was in a movie theater, and I can't tell you the next time I'm going to go.
They're putting a big studio. I know you must know over there in Fort Monmouth, and that's in excuse me. So that hopefully that'll bring some work.
It's interesting because we're an accounting firm, and I deal a lot with tax, and we have a lot of entertainment clients. And New Jersey is one of the states that offers a lot of credits for movies and so forth like that. So Netflix coming here is not that much of a surprise because many states offer incentives to the production companies to film there. Georgia's become a very big state. So a lot of things are now filmed in the Atlanta area. New Jersey's done it, and so forth as well. North Carolina.
Yep.
So a lot of these states, and then you have some places outside. Vancouver has become a very big hotbed for filming, as well. So we'll add a lot of jobs to the area. Yeah,
Let's
I think
hope.
It'll add a lot of stuff. So, growing up, what kind of movies were your favorites? You mentioned before in the earliest, but were you always a movie? I know you had no aspirations to be an actor, but were you a movie buff?
Saturday Night Fever. We went to see that one. Saturday Night Fever back in the day. I'm showing my age, but no, I wasn't really. A movie guy. No, truth be told, not really. I don't like horror movies. If that, I don't like scary movies. I went to see one movie when I was, I think, 7. The worst. I went and see a movie when I was. I didn't want to say it because this is a long time ago and it still bothers me. When a Stranger Calls. That was a true story. I was 17 years old, and I still don't sleep right thinking about that movie. So, but I wasn't a big movie guy. No. Not really.
What about now?
Yeah.
Now, do you watch them at all or not really?
My wife and I, we don't like the same kind of movies, so no, not really. Yeah. I don't even watch the movies I'm in or the shows I'm in, to be truth be told.
Well, it's so funny. That was my next question because I've had this debate with a lot of people. When your show comes out on Hulu and the episodes that you're in, will you go out of your way to watch it or not at all?
No. Do you know I'm in the business 32, 33 years. So you've been on a movie set or a TV show set. So when you shoot it, then they call the video village, the monitor, where you could go to playback and you go watch it. To this day, as I'm doing this interview with you right now, never once did I ever go and look at the monitor or the video because I don't want to critique myself. So I did this wrong. I should have looked at it.
I get it.
That's just me. Some people, the minute they say cut, they run right to the video. They look. Yeah. And I don't want to do that because that might, if I have to redo it, it may make me, just think differently. I don't know. For some reason, that's just me.
Yeah. Kind of what you said before with De Niro is how he would be able to go in and out of scenes so perfectly. And that's how it worked for him in his head. For you don't want to get inside your own head and critique yourself. Because it's funny, because I've also talked to people, actors, who basically have said they've worked with people who get into character when they wake up in the morning, and they stay in character until that day is over. So even in breaks, 100%. They're still that character because they have 100%. Difficult getting in and out of it, unlike what he did.
Correct. Yeah, everybody's different. Everybody's different. Yeah. I don't even tell people when I do something. I learned that a long time ago. If you're doing something, you don't tell because you can get edited out. You can cut you out, and then somebody will say, "I thought you were in that. Yeah. I didn't see." You get that kind of nonsense. Well, yeah, okay, whatever. My name is in the credit. I got paid. That's
been a very played bit in sitcoms. I know you don't watch a lot of TV, but that happened on Friends with the one character. He had his grandmother come over. He's going to be in a Law and Order, and instead his character just came out with a thing over his head because he was killed. And then on Big Bang Theory, same thing. She was supposed to be in it, and then she watched it and she was cut out. And they've actually made a whole 2 different episodes about that. So yeah, I could see why.
So I know what I'm talking about, right? It's simply, and then you'll always get that person. Well, I didn't see you. Well, and then they'll break your chops a little bit, and then you say to them, "Well, listen. Hopefully, the next show you do, then I'll cut you out." You know what I mean? Yeah. But let me know when you do your next show.
So let's see how many. I've been in more shows cut out than you've been in shows even filming. So I still think I'm better than you.
There you go. A little bit. Yeah.
There's something to be there for a scene that's cut out. I mean that's the amazing thing. Also, I think about it when you talk about production costs and you think about what it takes to go into a movie, and then how much time and effort and money was spent on scenes that get cut and don't even make it in the final product.
Mind-boggling. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And people who do come to a set, they'll watch a scene be filmed. I tell them, you could come, but it's hurry up and wait. It's numerous hours. And they'll say, oh, my God, I saw that film. It's like 12 seconds on the screen, but it took you 5 hours to film.
Yeah.
You know, you know the game.
Yeah.
What happens, and that's why
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a lot of money, a lot of time. You try to get it right. You try to, you know, do the best you can with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to a few sets for filming, and I think that for me, what it was is, I guess, depending on the different type of camera shots for it, meaning is it a solo camera or if it's a multi-camera. And obviously, if it's a multi-camera, you got to shoot the same scene like 5 different times because you need to get it from all different angles where a camera's not in the background. The one I was at was a multi-camera. It was a sitcom for Nickelodeon. So it was the same kind of thing. You'd watch the same scene filmed 5 times. It was from this angle, then this angle, and that angle, you know, and it's tiring for them to do the same scene and try and recreate it almost identical because you need to be, it's tough.
And they're doing that particular scene when you've been on the set for 7 hours. Now you got to keep the energy up. You're tired. You got to, you know, and that's where you got to be a pro, and they're paying you well for it. So and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You're on overtime, and we're doing the scene again. You know, and and you got to keep that fresh face. That, you know, because it's an afternoon scene, but it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You've been there for 2 days. It's tough thing.
Yeah,
you know, grateful to be there. Great. But, some people don't realize what goes into it. You know, I want to come to the set. I want to watch. Come on down, but make sure you plan on being there for a few, know, for a while. You know, the background actors. I tip my hat to them. They use that other word that starts with an E and an X. I would never use that word ever. Extras. I think that's an insult. But those background actors, I tip my hat to them because people got to realize without the background, there's no front round.
Yeah.
Kind of simple.
Right. I did an extra one time in my life. I was probably like 7 or 8. Oh, yeah. It was. I'll tell you what it is. You'll laugh what it was. And I don't remember if it was a commercial or not, but it was a red carpet thing. So I had to be on the end as like a waving fan as the Muppets came through, I guess, like from their car into whatever they were going to. And we just had to be there and like wave and go crazy like a big rock star was walking past us.
There you go. So now to my point, they call that, give me the extras. Now, with me,
that's exactly what it was.
Extra is something you don't need, right? If everybody wasn't there, they could have never filmed that. So that's a big pet peeve of mine. Very, very big. And I never did a day of background in my life. But I've stopped shoots. I called the director, come here, my friend, do me a favor. Stop saying, you say that word again, you know, there's going to be a slow, you know, so just like that kind of thing. So,
I never thought of it that way. You say, I'll, you know, you have an extra something. It's like something you don't need. It's just there in case you need it.
And when you bring it to their attention like that, they say, you know, you're right. Because if the background actors decide to walk off or walk out, now what? Now what do you do? But anyway, that's my feeling on that.
The restaurant scene looks a lot less believable if you're in an empty restaurant.
There you go. That's perfect. See, Josh, see what I'm saying? And I don't know where you got this kid Josh from, but he's a catch. He's a good one. My main man.
He's a good guy. Last question for you, because we've been talking about movies and TV. Have you ever done any like live theater or anything in front of audiences?
Absolutely. 1,000,000%. Dear friend of mine, his name is Ralph Squillanti. Ralphie Locke. He's from the Bronx. He's a legend. He's a legend. He won 2009. He won Best Villain in the Pasadena Film Festival. He did a play years ago off Broadway called the Crotona Lounge. Crotona Lounge was a bar up in the Crotona section of the Bronx. In them days, one of them kind of bars, you know, the gambling, just a lot of cast of characters with a capital cast of characters. And he did that, and I played the bartender. I was a miserable, rotten bartender. That was my character, called the Crotona Lounge. That's the only time I did a play. It was sold out. Off Broadway. I can't tell you for how long. And so yes, I did do something, and it was but that gentleman, Ralph Squillanti, I want to give a shout out to him. I met him out on Bronx Tale 33 years ago, and what a talented guy he is. Dear friend, more than a friend. But anyway, so the Crotona Lounge. Anybody ever knew of the lounge or heard of him? You'll know what I'm talking about.
I got to tell you, I find your story just so fascinating because, like I said, I've talked to so many people in the business, and the way you got into it, and I think you have just an amazing mindset about it. Like, if the next thing comes, great. If it doesn't, I got a job, I got my family, I love what I do. But I'll speak for you. If it kind of stopped tomorrow, you'd be okay because you have everything you have in your life that you need.
And I got to go in that laundry room over there and fold towels as soon as I'm done. When you empty the dishwasher, so it don't matter. Yeah. I could go in and get an Academy Award part tomorrow. I'm still doing the dishwasher and the towels. That don't change.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you say that. I'm going to leave you with this. I'm convinced my wife waits around the corner, so I get home first, so I have to do the wash before she comes home.
Well, there you go. Yeah. You figured it out. How long did it take you to figure that out? Hey, it was a pleasure.
Well, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on.
Thank you, because of Josh. He's a great kid.
And I wish you nothing but continued success.
Thank you,
he is a good kid.
And maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Adeptus On-Air. If you like this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. The views and opinions by the podcast speakers and guests are solely their own and do not reflect the opinions of Adeptus. This podcast provides general information only and is not intended to constitute advice.